Hi, I'm going to talk about my knitting, what I've been knitting lately, what I'm knitting right now. And I think the last video on this channel was like my winter plans. So that's great because I've accomplished a lot of those plans. I'm excited about that. I'm wearing right now, this is the Step by Step sweater by Florence Miller. And this is fisherman's wool. And I really like this. It's huge. This is the first sweater I ever knit, but it's actually the second one because I knit one and it was so bad, but I was like, wow, I finished a sweater. So I immediately just cast on this same sweater with the same yarn, and this is the one I wear. So it is my first sweater, but it's also like technically my second sweater. And somehow between this sweater, which does not have twisted stitches, and my next sweater, which was an Olga sweater, I started twisting my stitches. Isn't that weird? I think I have to take my Olga sweater apart and redo it, but I don't want to do that. So we'll see. I might just knit a different one at some point. Okay, so let me share just what I have knit since the last time I talked to you, starting with these guys. I think I was working on these the last time I made a knitting video, which was 6 or 7 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago maybe. These are the Kitten catch mittens. Oh, also by Florence Miller. That's interesting. These are great. They're like a little too big. I might have small hands. They come in one size and it says like a women's medium, but like they're a little bit too big. But I love these a lot. I knit this in Knit Picks palette, and I used like 50 grams total. So if you have 2 balls, I think you could make 2 pairs of mittens with Knit Picks palette. I followed the pattern, used the recommended needle size. You can tell that my color work tension got better from mitten to mitten. So this is the first one I knit, and this is the second one I knit. Can you see that this one is like a little bit better? Is that crazy? I think that's really cool. I like these a lot. They're very warm. Wool also, I noticed it can get wet, and it can be a little bit wet before it gets like cold. So like I also use these snow shoveling and stuff and didn't have an issue with them getting wet. So like even though they're not like plastic gloves. I just thought that was cool. Yeah, but these are great. I can't believe I finished this. I really wanted to make a pair of mittens. I'm gonna make more. I like these. I feel like they just look really cute. Okay, the next thing I knit was a rush. I forgot to grab something because like we went for Christmas with family for like 3 days or something, and I didn't grab anything. So real quick, I just grabbed, this is Fialopi. Is that how you say that? Come on, there you go. It's a really scratchy wool, 100% wool, by Istex, I think, which is the Icelandic wool. And I don't mind scratchy wool. Like I think people say fisherman's wool is really scratchy too. I don't have an issue. I just bought 3 balls of this green, and I had 2 balls of blue left over from a sweater vest I made a long time ago, and I made this hat. This hat took like 1.1 balls, so like 55 grams or something. And I like it. This is the Hipster hat, I think. I'm gonna look that up, hang on. This is the Hipster hat by Petite Knit, and it's just like a 2x2 rib. And I like it, and it is warm. I think if wool bothers you at all, you would hate having this on your head. I don't care. I really like it. And it's a nice hat pattern. I didn't remember to bring my double pointed needles, so I knit this on like sock circulars, so like really short circulars. And by the time I got to the decreases, I was like squishing it together, and it doesn't look the best. I am reknitting this hat in a different wool, and I'm gonna use my double pointed needles this time. But I mean, I still think this looks good. It's warm. It's fun. It's too warm. Like it's too cold to turn the heat off, but it's too warm to be sitting here in this giant sweater and this giant hat. But I do like this hat. I've also started updating on Ravelry. I'll link that below, but like I really like being able to see all the things I've completed in a row. And this is on there with a picture of me, like, yeah. This is my sprinkle party sweater, which I knit the Monday junior sweater in the 8 to 10 size using Drops Fiesta, and I don't have it anymore because it was a gift. And you can see a picture of it over here. It looks really cute. Yeah, I don't have anything to say about that. I like the Monday sweater a lot. It's like just a basic ass sweater. I want to make one for myself in a green, I think, but I think that's going to be like my go-to sweater. Like if I'm making a gift sweater, the Monday sweater. Okay, that's also petite knit. My next knit is also petite knit, and it's the Cumulus top. It's a mohair Cumulus blouse. Yeah, so it's just 2 strands of mohair held together, and it's like a little V-neck. I can put a picture of me wearing it, and it's petite knit, so the pattern was really easy to follow. You have like this I-cord edging on the bottom and the top and around the V-neck, and it looks really nice. I hated knitting it. I hated knitting it so much. I hated holding 2 strands of mohair together. I hated having to transport them both around and like pull them. And I think I like mohair. I like the texture it creates, but I hate the texture of it by itself. So I did not like making this, but I really like the final product, and I've worn it a lot, like under overalls and stuff. Yeah, so I made my Yoon sweater in the color Rust, and I had extra mohair because I had bought enough mohair and knitting for all of Heavy Merino to make another project. And then I also had all this artichoke purple that I wasn't going to use. So it took about 3.5 balls of each. So you need 7 balls of mohair total to knit the medium. I just used the recommended needle size, and I held them together because I don't like purple. I don't want to wear purple. I think purple doesn't look good on me, but I also feel, I don't want to offend anybody, I feel like purple is like an old lady color, and I don't want to be wearing purple. I don't feel that way when other young people, or middle-aged people, I guess that's what I am, wear purple, but I just like on myself, I just feel dowdy, and so I wouldn't knit anything purple for myself. I wouldn't wear anything purple. So I held it with the Rust, and I feel like it made a really interesting color where it doesn't look, you can kind of see the purple, but it kind of looks like a rusty red. Like instead of, like the rust by itself leans more orange, but with the purple, it turned it into kind of this red color. I'm going to post some pictures of it, and maybe you'll see how that looks like. But I loved this pattern. If I do have a lot of mohair, because I like using mohair, I hated knitting it by itself. I hated holding it by itself. I mean double, but still just mohair. So the next thing I made was also on my list. It's the Poppy Scarf by Tamara Jordan. And it's like a really basic tube scarf. I used the recommended yarn, which was Wool of the Andes. And you just have these 2 poppies. The back's the same, the leaves go up, and then it kind of reverses, and you go to the other side. And this is also super warm. Oh, I'm gonna mess with my mic. It's super warm. It's 100% wool. I think I added extra leaves just to make it really long so I can wrap it around my head, which you'll see in the picture. And it's great. I knit this also on tiny sock circulars. So it was just making like a really, really long sock. And I was worried that the color work wouldn't like flatten out. Like maybe my tension would be weird because I was doing it in circulars, but it did. I blocked it and stretched it, and I think it looks fine. I wish, like I used the recommended yarn, but I didn't pay too close attention to what actual colors she used. So I just got like a white and a green and a red. And I feel like my white is too yellowy, and my red, I think I went with watermelon, and it's not like a true red. So I was a little disappointed with that, but like that's obviously just, that was my fault. That was what I've done. I messed that up, but I think it looks cute. and it's really warm. My goal is to just make like a bunch of hats and, oh no. My goal is to just make like a bunch of hats and scarves and gloves and like just have them in a bucket by the door. So like as my family is going out into the winter, they can just grab whatever. A child has worn this and they have ripped the stitch out, but like that's fine, I can fix that. So yeah, that's my goal with making a bunch of winter gear. Just have a bucket that people can just grab, and like it's fun to knit. And I am worried I'm like making too many sweaters. Like you can't wear an infinity amount of sweaters, so it's good to just start making stuff like this and still have fun with it. Next I made my first Ozetta pattern, which is these comfort socks. And these are the same yarn as that hipster hat. It's Falliope, and I have the blue and I have the green left over. I think I still have 1 ball of green and like 3 balls of blue. These are just like huge socks. They're knit up on big needles and they knit up really, really quickly, and they're big socks. I would call these like boot socks. It's a standard sock. Like ribbing, heel, decreases toe, standard. I also knit this up on circulars the same way I did that hat, and I got to the bottom to do the toe and it just looked like everything was loose and the gauge was weird. So I took that sock apart and redid this sock completely, and I switched to double pointed needles about like right here, and it just looks a lot better. My tension's a lot better, and like it looks and feels like a sock. I would not wear these, like they're really warm. I feel like this is felting wool. Like I could felt these into slippers or something. They would shrink a lot, I guess, but I have been wearing these as house socks where I put them over my other socks, and it's just like a warm, like slipper style socks. I feel like these would be really good for camping. Like you're in your tent, in your sleeping bag, and it's cold, and you like pull these over your feet. Is that what they're called? Are they called camp socks? Is that why they're called that? Comfort socks. Okay, they're called comfort socks. I would call them camp socks. That's what I envision these as. And I was kind of just trying to figure out ways to use this yarn. Like I bought this yarn because I wanted to try Icelandic wool, and I made one sweater vest and I bought way too many balls because it was like early in my knitting. I didn't know what I was doing, and so I just have these left over. So I made a hipster hat. I made these socks. Both were hits. I like them both. So I might just make more of these because I have more yarn. I feel like I have so many finished objects since last time, but it was like 7 or 8 weeks ago, right? But this is, and it's not sweaters, it's all like scarves and stuff. This is my last finished one. This is the Alex hood by Pernille Lawson, right? Is that how you pronounce that? It's the Knitting for Olive brand. This is gonna mess with my mic, don't be mad. It's a hood, and I did not finish this before the last big snowstorm, but I feel like it would have been perfect. It's really warm. I like how it covers my ears. There's like a little, can you see this point? I'm probably all up in the mic. There's this little point, and it looks really silly. I hated this pattern. Well, I should say this is Lamb's Pride wool, which I bought because I went to a small local yarn store and I feel bad if I don't buy anything. And so I just found something that was wool that I could make. This yarn, I don't know if they still make this yarn, but the packaging looked like this yarn. And the store also looked like this yarn had been sitting there since like the 90s. Do they still make this? I did, when I washed this, I had the most like a color bleed of any yarn I've ever had. Like, look at this picture. Like, this is still very red, but the water was also so red, it was crazy. But this yarn is an 85% wool, 15% mohair. And the knitting, this hood, the Alex hood, it called for like 3 strands of fingering. It wanted like 2 mohairs and a silk, or 2 mohairs and a merino, and so I thought it would be kind of the same. I knew I was off gauge, but I didn't care because I wanted a giant scarf and a giant hood, so that worked out. But like this pattern, I didn't, I'm going to take this off. It's too hot. I like the finished product a lot. I like the ribbing. I like how, like, you kind of get this, like, shape. And all of the pattern notes tell you to make the scarf longer. So I did make it longer than it suggested. And you get this really nice ribbed detail. I got confused how to do the increases and maintain rib. And it's obvious once you realize how it works, but the instructions were just really poor. And I'm a beginner knitter, or I'm like transferring from beginner to intermediate, I guess. But like, I was confused and I had to look at the pictures, but there aren't like additional pictures in the pattern. Like, it's just what you see on Ravelry. So like, if you're trying to understand this, you have to look at the like fashion pictures to try to figure it out. Like, there's not a diagram. I don't know. Maybe I'm used to patterns being too easy. After fighting with it, I did get the final product. I mean, the hood also really confused me. I did not follow the instructions for the hood at all. I just attempted to figure out what they were doing. So like, you have these increases coming out. I tried, but the hood was just me trying to match the picture and not following the instruction at all, because I didn't get it. And I will blame myself, just because maybe I don't understand. Like, I am used to like petite knit patterns where everything is laid out specifically. So maybe that was it. And like, I do like the final product. I didn't like, you have to seam the top together and you seam the back together, and it just it feels like there should be a way to make this without having to seam. Like maybe picking up stitches or something. I don't know, but I really like it. I really like how it ended up. I don't think I like knitting for all of patterns. I do have this book, and it's a beautiful book, and I like looking at the pictures. I like reading the story about the yarns, and I really like their yarn. I love their yarn, but their patterns are just, I don't know. It's not that they're difficult. It's just, they feel complex for no reason, if you know what I mean. And often, knitting for all of patterns, because they're a yarn company, will be like, hold 8 strands of yarn, buy 8 strands of yarn, 4 mohairs, and like 2 silks, hold them together. And it's like, that's crazy. That's wild. It feels like their patterns are specifically, but I mean, of course it is. Of course the patterns are written for selling yarn. I don't know. I really like this hood. I like it as an object. Like, it's going right in my bin of like winter gear, but I don't know if I like this one. I think I'm going to knit some more hoods. There's a couple bonnets that I thought looked really cute. I don't like this Sophie hood. I do have that pattern. I liked that this had more structure, kind of. Like, it wasn't just garter stitch, it's rib. But I don't know. If you have a favorite hood pattern or bonnet, let me know. This is fine. I was also inspired by Florence Miller, because she knit a red one, and I was like, ooh, a shiny red one. Because like, I'm not going to wear a red sweater, but like a red, sure, why not, right? Yeah. It feels so weird making videos like this, just because I can't imagine anyone caring about what I'm knitting, but also all I watch are these knitting videos. Like, the only YouTube I consume now is people being like, I thought about knitting this sweater and then I ran into this issue, and I'm like, yes, tell me everything about this sweater. But let me share with you my whips. This is another hipster hat. For an adult man, look at how small it looks. I think it's gonna fit. Like, I'm not done like with the tube part yet, and then I'll decrease, but like, I think it will fit an adult man. This is Knit Picks palettes in like this really cute heather green, tweed. It's not tweed, but it's like a little bit marled. This is cute, right? This will be a hat. I think the hipster hat is one of my favorite hats that I've made so far, but I want to make, it's January and I'm thinking about Christmas presents. I want to make like 10 hats to give out as Christmas presents. So I'm kind of like researching what yarn and what hat I want to use. And there's another hat, I think it's also petite knit, that I want to try. Let me see. Yeah, the weekend hat. Because I watched this YouTuber, I think her name's Mo. She's from Boston, and she's always wearing this hat. And I was like, what hat is that? And she was like, it's the weekend hat. So I think I'm going to make a weekend hat next. I'm going to have to buy yarn for it. Maybe, it's got mohair, right? Maybe I'll do a Sunday and a mohair, like the yarn. That'd be cute. But for now, I think this might be the winner of hats. I like this hat, the hipster hat. I like the rib. And Knit Picks palette, I'm holding it double. It's like a fingering weight, and it's working. I was really worried it wasn't going to fit, but once you get the length on it, you can see how well it stretches. So I'm excited about that. I am also knitting the hat, the Melt the Ice hat. What is it called? This is the Melt the Ice hat. I'm sure you've seen this around. It's by the Yarn Cult Minnesota, and they're referencing a Norwegian hat that was made and worn to protest like Nazi invasion. And it was eventually banned by the Nazis, saying you can't wear it. And so they're kind of just like bringing it back as a form of protest. And I just bought the pattern because it was like a charity event, and I wasn't planning on making it because I do think it's quite an ugly hat. But they raised like $250,000. And I think that that's great for like the immigration legal aid. And then I had, this is sock yarn. I don't remember what sock yarn, but like a year ago I made a Very Hungry Caterpillar sweater, and the collar was the only red part. So I had a bunch of this, and I was like, oh, I will just make that hat. I'm not going to wear this. I actually don't think it will fit. And also the pattern was 1x1 rib, and I wanted to do 3x1 rib. I think I have, like, you know, I'm going from like beginner to intermediate. And so I'm like, well, I prefer this rib. I'm just going to do it my way. And I think I'm going to realize that like the reason it was 1x1 rib was to make a specific type of stretchiness. And this hat, it's not going to fit me, but that's okay because I'm not going to wear it. I think I'm just going to put it in the background of my like main video set. I don't know. I've seen like discourse on this hat. I like the idea of a charity pattern, so I'm happy I bought the pattern. But then a couple of days later, someone posted the Liam hat, and that felt really weird. It felt weird, and like, I don't know. I think a lot of people see, I hate superwash yarn, by the way. I hate holding it. It feels so plasticky. Like, I'm happy to use it for like baby stuff, but like, I don't like knitting with it. But I think people see like knitting a hat like this as like kind of performative sometimes. So I was at gymnastics class, and I always just sit there quietly and knit. Like, I talk to the other moms sometimes. We plan like events for the children or whatever, but I usually just sit there quietly and knit. But a lot of the moms are like friends. And I'm sitting there yesterday, and one of the moms asked another mom if she wanted to go see the Melania movie. And the other mom was like, I will not be giving that man money, and like just shut it down, you know? And it was kind of awkward. I liked it. I appreciated that. Like, and I kind of think that's like the performance, like their performance of knitting this hat for your Instagram, and like that's the end of it, I think is very different from like publicly performing as a liberal and saying like, I will not be going to see a propaganda film, and like by my tone you can tell I'm judging that you are asking me if I want to go, you know? Like if the like awareness of what this hat means, of like fuck Nazis, and then you're wearing it in public, I feel like that's good, like for your community and people to see like, oh, this person says fuck Nazi. I don't know. Like the woman who wanted to see Melania, is that Milana? I don't know how to say her name. The woman who wanted to see the propaganda film from the Trump regime, like I don't think she changed her opinion on Trump. I don't think she's like not going to see the movie now, but I do think she felt embarrassed. And like, yeah, maybe she goes home and she's like, this bitch at the place said this to me, man, and post it on Facebook. But she's going to be a little more reticent before saying, do you want to go see the Trump regime propaganda film in the movies with me in public, right? Like the more people who are willing to be like, that's crazy that you said that in public, the more people that wear a hat that says like, fuck Nazis, will make the Nazis scared, I guess. Maybe not scared, but like feel less safe sharing their grotesque values with the world. Do you know what I mean? I think there's a performative aspect of like knitting this little hat and putting it on Instagram and then never letting that leave your house. But I do think in combination with doing actual stuff, this kind of thing is good. I don't know. I will not be wearing this hat. But also, I was knitting this hat. I started knitting this like yesterday. I just was like, oh, I have red yarn, I should knit this. And the reason I was knitting it is because I live in Ohio and ICE is coming to Ohio. Like publicly, they're coming to Springfield, Ohio, because there's a big Haitian community. The same Haitian community that J.D. Vance was like, these people eat dogs. Like these trash people have been harming and criticizing these like wonderful immigrants who have just been living and working and living their lives there. And like, I'm so mad. I'm so mad about it. But what can I do? So I started doing research. I can actually share this with you. Hang on. Like obviously ICE is still in Minnesota. ICE is still in LA. ICE is still... These kids made a map. You can see what they're doing. But I live in Ohio. So like, what can I do in Ohio? And who I had been calling is the Haitian Support Center of Springfield, Ohio, because they do have a huge immigrant population there from specifically Haiti. And they have like legal teams that already work with that group. So like if you're going to donate to a place, I feel like that is a good place where they will know how to spend the money locally. But I was calling them yesterday to be like, well, do you need volunteers? Like, should I drive to Springfield? Because Springfield, it's like 3 hours away. And like, do they want more people there? Should I get a hotel? Like, what do you do on the ground, you know? And I was calling and they weren't answering, obviously, because they're busy and they have a lot going on. Also, Northwest Ohio Legal Aid. So yeah, those two places will take your money. And like, I mean, I guess it's just like a wait and see for what they need people to do. But like while I was doing that, I was like, I will knit this hat and it will give me something to do while I'm sitting here feeling hopeless and useless. And like, I know obviously the thing to do is provide money, right? So like, I can help with that as much as I can. But like, I don't know, knitting the hat made me be like, well, I can knit this stupid hat instead of my other stupid hat because I hate Nazis. You know what I mean? I don't know. What do you think? I will say also, I'm a very political person on the internet. And obviously, because like everything is political. I talk about science mostly on my other channel. I don't know if anyone would be here just because of knitting. I talk about science mostly on the other channel, and it always comes up. Politics always comes up because, like, of course it does. Of course science is political. But I often get comments from people who are like, Angela, I really liked your videos. I think you're really funny. I like how you talk about science. Like, they're very educational. But you made me feel really bad when you said racists are stupid. And, like, I feel like that's the same thing as the woman being like, I will not watch a propaganda film. No, thank you. Do you know what I mean? Like, someone liked my stuff. They liked watching my stuff, and they thought I would be cool with them being a racist. And when they find out I'm not cool with it, maybe that makes them think a little bit. Maybe they stop being a racist. I don't care. What it will do is shut them up. Like, they will know that, no, not everyone agrees with you. I do think racists are stupid, and I think you're stupid. So if you don't want me to think you're stupid, like, maybe keep that inside. Does that make any sense? Like, I feel like even if it's performative, being performatively anti-fascist is enough to make the people who are comfortable being fascist know they're pieces of shit. Maybe they feel a little bit bad about it because they're not welcome in spaces. Oh my God, this became a whole thing. Okay, so I'm in South Ohio. Not a lot of local yarn stores. I'm not near Cincinnati, but I made the trek. I haven't found a great yarn store there. I've been to quite a few there. They're fine. There's nothing wrong with them. I just didn't get like the one I wanted, right? Like my precious store in Boston. But so I'm looking, right? And there's a store that's like 50 minutes from me, and that's a long drive. But I'm trying not to buy things online. I don't want to buy yarn online. I would prefer to buy yarn in person. And this wasn't like a yarn store. It was like a fabric store that also had yarn, but I saw they had Rowan yarns, and I was like, I could make a sweater with Rowan yarn. That's fine. And I go to the website, and I saw that they had a knit night. And I was like, oh, that's fun. I've never been to a knit night. And I click on it, and it's like you pay $10 and you can sit and knit. And I'm not mad about the $10. I think that that's fine. I know some stores will do like, you can go to the knit night and it's free, but you have to knit with yarn you bought at the store. And I think that that's fine. I also think it's fine to do a cover charge. Because like, I know that it's not free to host an event. As long as they tell you beforehand the rules, I think that that's fine. But on the little knit night like ticket, because you could buy it online so you could go, it said no politics. And I was like, I don't know about that. Like, what do you mean no politics? Because no politics is an inherently conservative position. Like, no politics means that you can call whatever you want political and you can kick it out of your store, right? And like, I was so hesitant because I was like, well, maybe they just don't want to talk about politics. Maybe they're like a good vibes only club because like things are bad, and I get that. But then I was just like, no, like I'm not going to give my money to a business who's like no politics, because like it just feels like you're probably protecting some racist old lady who got offended that like, because your average knitter is obviously a liberal because arts are liberal, like they have to be. Art is political, it has to be. And like most yarn stores, like here's what Ravelry says, right? Like most yarn stores are like, everyone is welcome here, which means we do not tolerate specific behaviors, which means like no racists and stuff, right? So like a yarn store advertising that it's not political made me just be like, well, I'm not gonna, oh, sorry. So a yarn store advertising that they're not political specifically made me be like, well, I'm certainly not gonna drive an hour to check that out. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I think yarn is political, obviously, and it might be performative, but I also think that that's important, like in the real world, not on the internet. In the real world, wearing the red hat and someone going, what's that hat? And you'll be like, it's fuck Nazis, it's the fuck Nazi hat. I think that that's good. Like being vocally, publicly fuck the Nazis, I think is good. Yeah. I don't know. All right. But like, I'm not saying we shouldn't talk about the performative aspects. Like, if you're only knitting hats on Instagram, like, you got to get out there. You know, you got to be at gymnastics and be like, actually, lady, I think it's really weird that you want to go see the Melania movie. No one wants to see that movie. Like, do you want to see it specifically because you love Trump? Like, that's weird. You're weird. You know what I mean? I have one more whip. I have to look it up. It's a sweater. Okay. This is the Moonset Polo by Ozetta. Oh, another Ozetta pattern. And I'm knitting it in Cascade 220. It looks black, right? But it's actually like, I should just read the color name. Hang on. Oh, it just says color 1091. I'll look up what that color name actually is. But it reminds me of like the ocean. It's like, oh no, I lost a stitch. It's like a gray, bluey. I really like the color. I was really happy with it. I ordered this online. Oh no, I've lost a stitch. Oh. Okay, I should really get the little stoppers or something. It's fine. So I ordered this online from Wool & Co. as like my Christmas yarn gift to myself. Well, my husband was like, what yarn do you want to get you? And I picked this. And I really like the color. It's really soft. I've never used Cascade 220. And the Moonset Polo is like a V-neck. See the little V-necks? So cute. You can't see it at all. There you go. And there's like a polo collar. So I have joined in the round, and I'm just knitting this until I want to start ribbing. I am worried I'm going to run out of yarn. So I have 3 more of these and this. And I need to do the sleeves, the ribbing, and the collar. I think it will be fine. I'm a little worried. I bought 5 total. We'll see. We'll see. I could get more. We'll see. But Cascade 220, this is one of those yarns that like local yarn stores near me have, right? And so I will go and I'll be like, oh, it's really soft. I'll be happy to use this to make a sweater. And they'll just have like 2 skeins. Like 2 skeins in the same colorway. And it's like, babes, I want to shop here. I want to buy a sweater's quantity of yarn, but I can't make everything stripes. You need to have 6 shades in the same color, like lot, so I can buy it. You know what I mean? I really want to find a local yarn store here, but I feel like they're all just like sock yarn. I think I don't need sock yarn. I don't like superwash, actually. I don't know, but I have been on a journey with this. I wept because I messed up this sweater. This sweater, I think it's called contiguous construction. Like you knit the back panel, and then you pick up stitches to add the front panel, and then you join the fronts, and then you knit flat, and you join in the round. Standard, regular sweater. I've knit that before. Except I might have to draw a picture. I did take a picture. I picked up stitches for the front panel, but I didn't go all the way. So like on one side, my front panel was super squished. Like I had the right number of stitches, but it was super squished. And I was like, maybe nothing will matter. Maybe I'll just keep doing it. And I realized that if I were to put it on, you would see like a giant... I was so sad. And like I had already woven on the ends in because I do that now. I weave in the ends as I'm going to make finishing easier. And so I was like, I'm going to have to unpick this whole sweater and wrap it back up and start over. And I was like, if I start this over, I will never knit it. I will never pick it up because I'll be too sad. So I just took this and set it aside and knit like 3 scarves and 3 hats. I either have to undo the whole thing, like frog the whole thing, or maybe I could save the stitches on my needle at the top where they're joined and then unpick the seam and then Kitchener stitch together, like do sweater surgery. I was like, I think that's possible, but I don't have the skills to do that. And then I did the Kitchener stitch like a bunch of times for this. And I was like, okay, like I've seamed. I know how to seam now. I'm ready to do sweater surgery on my, is this the Moonset pullover? Is that what this is called? On the Moonset pullover. And I wept and I like swept the tears out of my eyes. I picked up this sweater again and I unpicked it. And the first thing I did is I went through and I got the stitches on the needle. And then I unpicked it and I was like, great, I have the stitches. The front is saved. I have not taken anything apart. And then I picked up stitches on the other side and I just seamed it together. And you can't even tell. Well, if you look really closely and know about sewing, I think you can tell which is which. But like this yarn is so dark, I think when I'm wearing it, you won't be able to tell. And only like a knitter looking really closely would be able to tell the difference. And I fixed it. And so now, I don't know, the way I found out was that I was knitting the sleeves. So this is a sleeve. And one of the sleeves had just like this huge triangle where I hadn't picked up the stitches there. And now they're both sleeve shaped. So I was really happy about it. Like it was like a big win for me that, yeah, I'm embarrassed now. I was so sad. I was so sad about how this had gone. I really like this pattern though. This is my second Rosetta. I like it. I'm trying to branch away from petite knit. I don't know if you can tell. But this is great. I hope the polo, like the neck, works out. I also recommend Cascade 220. It's really soft. It feels nice. Okay. Those are all my whips. Yeah. Happy knitting. If you're in Ohio, let me know what you're going to do. Comment below, I guess. Yep. Okay. Okay, bye.